In this episode, you'll discover why the most powerful men move in silence and how your need to announce every move is keeping you weak. Welcome to Energy Alignment for Entrepreneurs, the podcast helping entrepreneurs be free from anxiety, stress, and tension through balancing emotions and consciousness expansion. Here's 3 things that you'll learn today. Number 1, why announcing your plans before execution drains the voltage needed to manifest them. Number 2, how the masculine learns to hold his knowing without needing validation from the crowd. Number 3, the difference between strategic silence and passive hiding. All right, let's hop into the first point. So, when you have plans and there's a few pillars to a plan coming into existence and then being executed, right? You have the ideation, which is the initial thought, the urge. You write that thing down. You don't have clarity nor precision. You're not exactly sure how this thing will unfold, but there's some form of energy behind the idea. And when you start there and you kind of question, or you have some form of structure that allows for you to keep your mind clear, right? Because you're going to have ideas. You write those things down. You get them on the paper. You get the scraps sort of put into their box. And then later, you actually choose which idea to expand upon. So, when you look at announcing your plans before execution in relationship to the voltage, the energy needed to make them occur, you need to have clarity around any idea. That's the only way that anything can come from it. So that clarity comes from this underlying essence of what's the nature of the idea? Is it filled with greed? Like, how is this thing going to affect not only yourself? If you ask a question considering the whole, you'll always get to the essence as soon as possible, because life isn't about you. So your plans, they should be win-win-win situations where they benefit you, someone else, and the whole. That's what you want your the things that you actually let get into the execution phase of your system or your mission. You got to make sure that the idea itself is of the right essence before moving forward with it. Now, in simpler terms, let's look at the title, right? The serpent silence. When I tie this to the practicality of announcing your plans before execution, the trap is really speaking before you have clarity around the idea. For example, you could have a few different things in your horizon, in your environment, that you're considering pouring time into. And if you choose to talk about these ideas to anyone and everyone, then you'll get a little bit skewed from your own clarity. Now, there is a nuance here where you should tell your plans to some people, just not all the time, and just not always the same people. Because there's this balance of, okay, if you're announcing your plans before execution all the time to random people that don't really care, that don't know how to listen, that's gonna skew your relationship to the actual task at hand. Now, if you have a select group of people in the same niche as you who are aligned and easy to talk to and they take care of themselves and they can actually listen, well, then, yeah, maybe you do share your plans. So there's levels here. But in relationship to your voltage and manifesting those ideas, it all starts from that root of what's the nature, essence of this idea. And then what's your awareness in relationship to where other people are at, right? In the Bible, Christ says, if you do not have anything nice or kind or true to say, do not speak. Meaning if your ideas aren't crystallized, keep them to yourself. Let them get clear. And then if you have people, sometimes you'll be lucky enough to have individuals in your life that actually help you get clear on ideas. But that's not a given. One of the toughest things that I've had to go through in my journey so far is the illusion of friendship and trust, where think you think you can tell things to people, and maybe you'll explicitly say, like, don't say this, and then the next thing you know, everyone knows. You have little moments like that where your trust just gets cracked and eroded, and you realize, man, I cannot be naive when it comes to the things that I care about most in sharing energy. It could be a project, a relationship, uh, just simplifying your life to see that, man, I don't always need to be talking. And I definitely don't always need to be sharing the personal details of my life with other people. Um, the reason I touch on this point is because we like to communicate. Humans are meant to connect. But when you announce your plans to the wrong people, it can really be detrimental. Or it'll hurt you and then it'll teach you and show you, man, I need to be particular in terms of who I say what to, right? One of the things that psilocybin helped me understand is who to be what with. You're not the same with everyone. You shouldn't be, because not everyone is the same. And that means that it's not like you gossip in your head and you choose who to say things to. It's way more natural or in a organic process than that. You just know who can listen. You know who doesn't gossip. Because when you're around them, they don't gossip. You know what I mean? It's like, let's say someone's gossiping and you're the person they're telling things to. Well, that tells you so much about the person. Just because they're gossiping to you, that doesn't mean that you won't be replaced by someone else and they'll be gossiping about you to someone else. So you start to understand where people are at. And that's because you understand where you're at. So, in relationship to like executing these plans and understanding energy, it's of the utmost value to see that not everyone has your best interest in their heart. Now, one day they may change, but it takes time for people's hearts to evolve, to erode the greed, the envy, the jealousy, the immaturity, um, and to move on to a point of, wait, yeah, this is someone that I actually can communicate the things I care about most, right? And that's a great example of this. Like an actual example is, why am I talking to the mic and the camera right now in an office by myself? Well, because I knew in my heart that there had to be people out there willing and needing what I have on my heart, what I am sharing. But that doesn't mean it's my sister, my direct family, my coworkers, the people that I pass by on the street. Now, sometimes it is, but that's why I have this platform. This is like a real physical metaphor. Like I have the podcast because I can't always announce my plans or talk about the things I care most about to anyone and everyone, right? Hopefully that makes sense for you. Now, number two, how the masculine learns to hold his knowing without needing validation from the crowd. This is kind of a step up from the first point, because you get to this place in your heart where you're just, all right, the crowd isn't, you ever hear that quote, I've seen what makes you cheer, so I'm not like afraid of your boos. When you see what gets people excited, when you see what people pour their life into, the validation of those people means nothing because you see how shallow their life is. Now, when I say this, it's definitely coming off a bit harsh, but all simultaneously, this isn't a judgment of them. I've had to be lost, confused, childish, and immature. Everyone has to go through this. I don't know how many reincarnations, how many lifetimes, how many thousands of years it takes for souls to kind of marinate and awaken. But ultimately, there's a beautiful game going on here. And it starts with the individual. The world is created from the individual. You ever notice like your mood, your attitude affects how everything else seems? You can project your pain, your fear, your energy onto other people. Other people can feel what you feel. Now, you need to have the responsibility to realize that and see that, man, as I free myself from this illusion that I am just the identity, the body, the thoughts, I start to see that there's something more in me, something light in me, something true and real and ancient in me. And it's in all of us. We're all made from that same essence of intelligence. And this in relationship to the masculine, learning how to hold his confidence, his knowing, his faith without needing validation. Look at Christ. The people in the church, the holy ones were the ones who scorned him. Yet he was the real holy one. What a illusion that is. Can you see that in your life? Where the ones who claim to be holy are actually the evil ones. In the big picture, there isn't any evil because you need the evil ones to let the real Christ be shown. You need the people who claim to be holy for the real, actual embodiment of the truth to be recognized. There's that contrast always, night and day, masculine, feminine, coward and hero, strength and weakness, power and greed and force, right? So you look at your relationship to the crowd, right? And it's hard to discern and have compassion, but you need to because you were once the crowd. That's how this erosion works. So as you create the world, you have that compassion for the previous lost version of yourself, and you help them erode their fog, their confusion, just by even holding the space of not judging them or not throwing them away, right? Put yourself in the shoes of others. Treat thy neighbor as thyself. You don't need the validation anymore. You don't. When you see that you're powerful, when you walk in faith, when you have aligned and continuously align your actions, your mind, your heart, your gut, your frequency to emanate on a harmonious vibration, then life, it simplifies itself because you've simplified the bigger picture. And it's not through you. It's through grace. It's through surrender. It's through a predestined ordinance that is occurring. Like it's a messy order, but it's not messy. It's just the human logic that can't comprehend the vastness of the whole, which we then use the word messy or confusing. You'll never really be done. But what I'm talking about is just that confidence in, man, I know what it is. I know what life is about. And I continuously surrender to have this humility keep me flowing. Because the moment you think you know, you're lost. And the moment you accept that you're lost forever, that's not it either. That's where the problem of being low or a mere sinner comes in. Yeah, you do. You have to humble yourself, recognize, repent, and realize you need to change. But when you're changing, there comes a point where you no longer need to throw yourself low. And all simultaneously, you do it through something bigger, which is now a devotion. It's not I need help, I need help. I know when I'm straying, I'm going to devote myself. I can help myself. I have the awareness to change, the awareness to choose a new action, to turn the leaf, to get some fresh air, to reharmonize the cells in the vessel. So point number 3, the difference between strategic silence and passive hiding. Yeah, brilliant topic here. Because when you are being a coward and you're just hiding, you're avoiding in fear, that's a lot different than paying close attention like an owl, watching, waiting. And when you are present, you're aware and you feel. So you got to feel without getting lost in the depths. But you need to be able to feel the depths. It's just that you have a groundedness, an anchor, a faith, a balance that is powerful. Because then it's like you're feeling the same thing that you would be running from, but you're actually having the courage to feel it. See, the strategic silence creates the space, the power, and the courage, the relationship to one's own awareness that allows for the fear and the weakness that creates the passive hiding to be dissolved. It's really every time you have a stimulus, you have a choice. And that choice is a fork in the road. Do I choose power or cowardice? Going into cowardness time and time again shows you that is compounding. It's weak. It will swallow you. And you'll be stuck at the bottom of the ocean until you get the courage to figure something out. Get the courage to ask, how can I fix this? How can I change? The courage is so frequently just a question. The question leads you to an action. The action leads you to a new state of being, vibration. Then you can think anew from the new state, and you can let that compound. So there has to be a certain amount of pain, passive hiding, cowardice, weakness for you to get to this breaking point where you can no longer look yourself in the mirror and accept that's who you are, right? You have to be false, be weak, be not the truth until you feel that so much. And you know in your heart that's not who you are. And you're just done. You're ready to take that mask off, rip it, and stomp it up. Get rid of it. That's really this journey of dying anew, dying daily, being reincarnated. Like, the only way that this world changes is through you changing, through you choosing not to distract yourself and feel, through you taking the time to sit down and just breathe, through you stretching your body, through you working out, through you not reacting emotionally, and choosing the things that keep your psyche clear so you don't fall into unconscious, egotistical, animalistic. So, the bigger picture is the courage to ask the questions and the awareness to realize that you create the states which you operate through. Now, a little recap, the announcement leak. Every time you share your intentions before taking action, you create an energetic leak that dissipates the power needed to build. Sacred selfishness. Powerful men protect their vision in silence until it's strong enough to withstand the doubt and opinions of others. Now, action over words. Your work should speak before your mouth does. Let results announce what planning never could. Summary. The serpent doesn't rattle before it strikes. Stop bleeding your power through premature announcements and let your silence become the container for your inevitable explosion. New episodes are out Monday, Thursday, 10 a.m. Eastern Time. I wrote a book. It is really a 12-week path to changing your physique. If you want to look amazing, hey, check that out. It's in the description.